Oh, yeah, it's good. I tell you, to have electronic applause, it makes you feel so much better coming into a live show. There is nothing, YouTube. I think YouTube keeps getting harder, doesn't it? I mean, it just keeps. It really does. I don't think YouTube helps much. I think but who the frick cares, right? Have you guys? I'm sure you guys have felt this. I'm sure you have. So I've been sick all week, right? I'm starting to get over it, but I'm at the coughing stage. And I coughed so much since yesterday. My abs are actually sore. Like I had a overly abundant work, too big of a workout on my abs. Oh, so now when I cough, it hurts. Like my abs, they hurt so much. Oh, it's just. I haven't been sick in like 15 years, so and it makes it worse when you have to come on and quote unquote perform, right? It's one thing recording a video but to come on live, you're like, oh, maybe I should call it off now. No, the show must go on. The show must go on. Damn right. Yeah. We'll fight through it. We'll keep going. Thank you, everyone. Like and subscribe. I don't think I've ever asked anyone to like and subscribe. This is the first time I've ever asked anyone to like and subscribe. So if you like what we're doing, it's kind of like science, entertainment. I'm a screenwriter, spent 20 years in Hollywood. Oh, well, I guess Los Angeles, not Hollywood. I spent, a few years in Hollywood, right? Because it's an actual city. With a, heavy science nerd background, Dungeons and Dragons, I think every nerd, right? Every nerd is different. Everyone who was into science, like I was into Warcraft heavily, but I'm not really into video games because my personality is so damn addictive. Like, do you guys know what I mean? Like if I start people always tell me all the time, you got to play this game. You got to oh my God, if I start, I smoked for a lot of years and it was hard enough for me to quit smoking. I've never done drugs. So I'm not right. Like if I grew up in the 60s, I was born in the late 60s, but if I grew up in the 60s, I'd be right up there with, I'm right up there with the best of them. LSD, man, 2001 A Space Odyssey, LSD. Did you guys see the stupid streamer awards? Stupidity. I'm not a condescending guy. If you spend any time at a godless universe, I'm not that much of a condescending guy. And if I am, I usually say it with a smile, right? You got to throw some punch. I was a kickboxer too, right? So I don't mind throwing some punches and kicks. But you got to, when you do it with a smile, it's kind of like, you always want the other side to, because if I'm being criticized, just don't be a dick about it, and then let me respond if you'd be so kind, right? So, but the streamer awards, they're for the YouTube. Did you see them? It's like a whole bunch of teenagers getting together and being bratty. If I got nominated, I wouldn't go. Like really, what do you like? You want really? You want me to go hang out with you people? You people. Like I'm better. Maybe I'm not better. Maybe that's my problem. Maybe I'm just still a cut below. I'm not saying I'm better than anyone, but holy, what a shit show. I tell you, man. That is just, I don't know. Maybe it's my age. Is it my age? Could be. I don't know. But anyway, if you ever you don't even have to watch the streamer awards. There's nothing to see here, folks. Nothing to see here. It's 2 weeks till Christmas. Today, it's December 11th. 2 weeks, it's Christmas Day. I got my and yes, it's filled with wine. Between the drugs, the Tylenol, sinus, and all that stuff, and the wine, I think the wine has been the best. Easily. I think the wine has been the most soothing. And I don't ever have a drink of wine until if I do, it's before or after the show. I'll have just a little bit. But I think that little bit stimulates something, whatever it is inside the body. Ooh. Today, my friends, I'm starting a whole new segment. Almost every day, I'm going to have like a spotlight on a philosopher, on a scientist. It could even be a great actor, someone who has had a profound influence on society, one way or the other. And today, it's freaking Carl Sagan. Yeah, Carl effing Sagan. You know, I realized, yeah, Carl Sagan is the GOAT. Like, right? Carl Sagan is the GOAT. I realized I got some information. I also have some young people that watch the show. And I realized I got to be careful with my language. Like, you know, like 12-year, a couple of 12-year-olds like talking about that's like, holy. Now I can't cuss till later in the show when they're in bed. Something like that. But anyway, Carl Sagan, guys. Carl Sagan was one of those guys that influenced me. I was born in '67, right? And grew up basically in the science era where you had everything from Dune to Star Wars. You had 2001: A Space Odyssey. We had the moon landings. We had Space 1999. We had Star Wars. We had then we had Cosmos. We had, oh my God, there are so many things that on a science basis was just erupting. And Cosmos was in 1980. I believe it was September 21st till December 23rd, every Sunday in 1980. And if there's anything that influenced me and turned me into like a major, you know, I was already a geek, you know, because I had a telescope looking at the stars. If there's anything that changed me, and I think with so many people, it was Carl Sagan. Listening to him talk on a Sunday night was brilliant. You know, I mean, Neil deGrasse Tyson, he came out with Seth MacFarlane to do Cosmos Part 2, and it wasn't bad, right? Neil deGrasse Tyson is a compelling speaker. He rubs some people the wrong way. Doesn't rub me the wrong way. I thoroughly respect him. I think he's a learned man. He's an educated man. I think he likes to have fun, but why wouldn't you? I mean, if I was in Neil deGrasse Tyson's spot, I mean, Brian Cox, he was a musician, right? You think you don't have fun? He's doing a freaking arena tour, a 2-year arena tour. That's nuts. So Carl Sagan, so that's a new segment I'm going to do. The whole idea, I was talking yesterday about doing philosophers, and I thought, well, why wouldn't I just pick, you know, there's so many people from Carl Sagan, you know, to Einstein, Oppenheimer. You can do, you go to hockey, Gordie Howe. You could go to, of course, when you're live, your brain always goes like poof. Every idea you've ever had when you're live just disappears. Going back to Plato, every Fibonacci, if you guys, I mean, Fibonacci, holy cow, he is one of the most underrated mathematicians in the history of this planet. Fibonacci came up with things in medieval 11th century Europe that are right up there with almost Sir Isaac Newton, almost. On a fundamental basis, what Fibonacci came up with, I mean, that's almost a whole show, right? These guys are almost all entire shows. And then today, I thought we'd carry on this whole aliens thing. People love aliens, right? I'm not an alien believer. Guys, I don't know if you guys are. I'm not an alien believer, but I have clips of Brian Cox talking about aliens and Brian Greene talking about aliens on snippets from the Joe Rogan show. And I'm going to make some comments in between that. So that is, oh, and there's some news. There's some really interesting news out. It is, oh, you know what I got to do? Okay, that's what I want. But this is just going to muck me up. So I'm going to close that out. Keep that there. Man, you know, most people, they get like a producer, off-screen producer. No, when you're a small little channel, you do all this stuff yourself, and you're like, how to activate finds evidence. Oh yeah, this one. This one just came out 3 hours ago. I got to set up my screen here. So I got different overlays for add to stage. NASA finds, let me fix it so that we get rid of the advertisements. Oh, they're not gonna, oh, those buggers are not gonna let me. Smart. All right, that's cool. That's cool. You wanna do that? That's cool. Then I gotta change the overlay. Oh, there we go. See, that looks fun. And you know what I'm gonna do? I got some, because we're kind of doing, the greats of astrophysics, Brian Greene, Brian Cox, and of course the frickin' goat. Where's the backgrounds? Oh, it's not open. That's why. Damn it. Which one do I want? I'll do this one. There we go. There's our boys. They're going to be talking. It's great to hear these guys talk. And it's, when I hear them talk, I'm like, damn, they don't say anything much different than I think. And I think, am I as smart as these guys? No, I'm not. I know I'm not. Not even close. Not even close. I would go drinking with them though. Stop laughing at me. What movie was that? Stop laughing at me. Oh no, that was Star Trek. They were laughing at the guy and he oh yeah, they were laughing at him and he did one of these things and he turned them into dried cake bread or something like that. NASA, so I thought this was really, 3 hours ago, this is just brand new. Excuse me, 3:52 Eastern. NASA finds evidence of atmosphere on alien world 280 light years away. So when you're finding atmospheres, it's a pretty big deal. NASA's James Webb Telescope has found the most compelling evidence to date that a rocky planet beyond the solar system may have an atmosphere. Although it's not Earth-like, a planet called TOI-561b, about 280 light years from our solar system, appears to be a lava-covered world shrouded in thick layers of gases. So it's almost like a pseudo-Venus. I mean, exoplanets would be one of the most amazing, coolest things to visit. It was thought to be small and too hot to retain an atmosphere, and as intense radiation from its host star was expected to strip it away. Our observation suggested it is surrounded by a relatively thick blanket of gas, upending conventional wisdom about ultra-short period planets, said Nicole Wallach, a Carnegie Science, yada, yada, yada. The surprising observation came from the James Webb Space Telescope data on surface, blah, blah, where a year lasts only 11 hours because it orbits so close to its star. I guess Reed Richards isn't going to teleport us over there, is he? No. But when you find atmosphere, it's kind of a cool thing, right? Because yes, I mean, Mars has a 1% atmosphere of Earth. Venus has got a poisonous atmosphere. I mean, could you imagine being on the surface of Venus? Right? I mean, being on the surface, you wouldn't survive half a second. You'd be crushed and burned to a crisp. But whatever evolutionary track that Venus took, there was a chance that planet could have been an Earth-like planet. A chance. And of course, Mars was for a while. Could you imagine a solar system where we have another planet that is blue and green, that is a blue marble like ours? It would change our entire perception of the universe, right? Even if there's no life, or the life that was on there was just muck. If it was just muck, it was just single cell, simple life. It would change everything that we would think about the universe. If we had two, imagine if Mars and Venus were blue marble planets like Earth. I mean, that would be astounding. But both did have an opportunity to be, similar to Earth. I mean, they have the I always forget to do this. They have the configuration, right? They have the basics, but Mars being too small. I think that's what they think, right? The idea is Mars is too small, doesn't have the magnetic field to protect itself from the solar radiation, and Venus, Venus just decided to go have a CO2 party. You're not gonna You're not going to fight the CO2. Just ask Al Gore. Was it? We were supposed to be dead by now, weren't we? I remember Al Gore. Weren't we supposed to be dead by now? Look, I'm not here. Look, the stuff we do to this planet is destroying it. There's no doubt. But the doomsdayers have got to shut up. Okay, it doesn't help, right? I mean, am I right, guys? I mean, oh, there's got some comments. Am I right? It doesn't help. They make it that steel. They make that can do it for you. Yeah, AI, exactly. Yeah, it's on the other side of the ice wall. The what was I saying? Why do I just the worst? That's the worst thing about having a cold. You just get lost. Yeah, damn. I always find my way back. But so anyway, Carl Sagan. Carl Sagan is the GOAT. And he is the first one on a new series. Oh, excuse me. Tail end of the cold, Tail end of the cold. So Carl Sagan. He is I know. Okay, PDF. Oh my God, it's not going to work again. Or is it? There we go. I'll do it this way. Okay, that'll work. So Carl Sagan. If you got, I think everybody knows Carl Sagan, and don't worry, I got the perfect backdrop. Oh yeah, I didn't do one for the mobile side. So if you're watching mobile, my apologies. I do have one for the desktop size. Didn't have enough time. I was like an hour before showtime. I said, I might as well do some, some backdrops to make it look good. Merry Christmas, my friends. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. I will be live on Christmas Day. I hope I can do it. 8 hours on Christmas Day. So if you're not doing anything, you're just going to be, talking, having fun, shooting the poop, make some comments, reply to some comments. And then Christmas Eve, I'm going to be on for 4 hours. So you guys can, if you're not doing anything, come say hi. I would certainly appreciate it. So Carl Sagan. So here's a little bit about Carl Sagan in 10 points. So this spotlight, it's a legend spotlight. I think that's what I'm going to call it. I'm going to create some graphics and everything. But this legend spotlight is all about taking one person from history, an important person from history that has had some sort of an impact that we can learn 10 important points from. And Carl Sagan, I had some philosophers, Diogenes, Parmenides, Spinoza. I had them ready to go, but I thought, you know what? I think I got to make this thing bigger. So I'm going to start this whole thing off with the great Carl Sagan. So the Carl Sagan, the first legend in our spotlight. Let me set this thing up. There we go. Get the backdrops going. It's going. There we go. Hey, there. So Carl Sagan, he isn't. No, you can. That's standing ovation for Carl Sagan. That's for sure. There's he's inspired so many people, right? And I'm one of them. I know with Neil deGrasse Tyson, I think he took on Neil deGrasse Tyson. Tyson is like a little protege. And I think so many people, his TV show Cosmos inspired so many people. And then after that, he brought science and astronomy to people that allowed them to participate in astronomy. That for so long, it was like this idea that, well, only these smart people with degrees go do that. No, right? I mean, the great thing about science and astronomy, and it even goes into science fiction, like, movies and as a screenwriter, screenwriting, science fiction, Star Wars, all that stuff is just as important as science fact, because that's what inspires us. There is an entire ecosystem of science fact, fiction, even fantasy, right? That all sort of boils into it. And Carl Sagan is a pioneer. And so anyway, this is the first guy in our Legend Spotlight series. Carl Sagan. Carl Sagan was an American astronomer, planetary scientist, cosmologist, and a captivating science communicator. He is perhaps best known for his iconic television series Cosmos: A Personal Voyage, which brought the wonders of the universe into millions of homes and remains one of the most widely watched PBS series in history. And of course, we lost him to cancer. Unfortunately, lost him to cancer. Sagan transformed complex scientific concepts into poetic narratives, inspiring a generation to look up at the sky, or look up at the night sky with curiosity, advocate for the search for extraterrestrial life, and grapple with humanity's fragile place within the vast, indifferent cosmos. I miss his voice, I miss his voice. I think when I think back to when he was alive, it's that kind of that voice that always had this poetic, I guess, like they say a poetic voice. So anyway, so these are the top 10 things that he's known for, that he's brought to us, that we can sort of tip of the hat to Carl Sagan about. His research was number one, planetary science pioneer. His research was crucial to many NASA missions, including Mariner, Viking 1 and 2, Voyager 1 and 2, and Galileo, playing a key role in analyzing data about Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. And not just analyzing it, bringing it to us, talking to us. He just made it accessible. He made it vernacular. He made it layman. He made it non-scientist. That was the great thing about Carl Sagan. Number two, the Cosmos phenomenon. He hosted and co-wrote the seminal 1980 TV series Cosmos: A Personal Voyage, which became a landmark in science communication and popularized astronomy for a global audience. Yep. I remember there was one Sunday night I was playing hockey, and the hockey game, I think we had to race home, and I just made my dad after the game race home. It was Sunday night, and he did, because back in those days, because I think we had the vacuum tubes. Yeah, oh jeez, that's so embarrassing. Vacuum tube television. A lot of you are probably too young to remember what vacuum tubes are, but basically, at the back of the television, if you lost a tube, you had to unscrew a vacuum tube and screw it back in a vacuum tube. I mean, it was just crazy. It was just ridiculous. So, but yeah, if you missed an episode, you didn't get to see it on streaming, you would have to wait till they replayed it, and sometimes that was weeks. Number three, search for extraterrestrial life, SETI. Sagan was a passionate and leading advocate for the scientific search for extraterrestrial intelligence, believing it was vital for humanity's future. And I would not disagree. I think we're going to hear from Brian Cox and Brian Greene right after this, that the idea of alien life, and I just released a video today about the Fermi paradox, the top 10 reasons, or I don't know if the top 10 but the 10 most prolific reasons about the Fermi paradox, why we're not seeing aliens. And I think there's reasons that are logical. I don't think we're being visited by aliens. I know some people like to believe it, but I am not one of those. But we'll hear from Brian Cox and Brian Greene and see what they say. Number four, the pale blue dot. Yeah, I remember that. That was Voyager 1 or 2. He convinced NASA to point the Voyager 1 camera back at Earth from 4 billion miles away, capturing the iconic image that inspired his profound reflections on our planet's fragility. Now, the image is not impressive, right? It's just like it's with the little tiny dot. But the reality is, it's an actual picture of Earth from 4 billion miles away. And when you think as perspective, if you were riding on a saddle on Voyager 1 and you turned and looked and that little dot was Earth, the perspective that you would have would be, it is one of the most famous pictures in all of astronomy, and it is literally a dot on a, basically black and white, but that dot is Earth from 4 billion miles away. And Carl Sagan will be forever known for that picture. Yeah, standing ovation. Number 5, co-founder of the Planetary Society. He co-founded the Planetary Society in 1980 with Bruce Murray and Lewis Friedman, creating the world's largest space interest non-governmental organization dedicated to space exploration and the search for life. Awesome. Yep. Number 6, science and critical thinking advocate. Sagan tirelessly promoted skepticism and critical thinking as a defense against pseudoscience and superstition, famously defining science as a way of thinking. Now, there's an entire show behind this one concept. And I thought I was going to do a subsection on this until I started breaking it. The way of thinking, the scientific way of thinking. I remember Carl Sagan talking about it, and it forms the basis of how I think. It is why I don't believe in aliens. It's why I don't believe I don't believe that aliens are visiting us. I gotta preface that properly. I don't believe that aliens are visiting us. I know that there's people, got some comments that might be, love this Billions and Billions book. Yes. Silk, welcome. Demon Haunted World, dense but good book. Yeah. Scientists have amazing imaginations. That's what people don't understand. Scientists, astrophysicists, astronomers, these deep think people that have intellectual backgrounds have to have, yes, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. But for Einstein to come up with what he did, he had to have a mind so imaginative. You need to go into concepts in layers within your mind. And I was actually doing Einstein. Obviously, Einstein's going to be, one of the legends in the spotlight. And I find it amazing that against his family wills, they did keep his brain, and his slices of his brain actually go around for research. I don't know if you guys know that, but I mean, I'm not sure how I feel about that. I'm kind of left speechless. Silk, steel. Like, what is that? I mean, to think if I left and I guess if they kept my brain because they thought it was worthy and they divvied up slices of my brain for research. I mean, it's just a pack of neurons. For whatever reason, his worked quite well, right? You can go to guys like even Oppenheimer, right? I mean, there's countless of geniuses. I guess we don't have access to their brains. I guess that's the big difference, right? So, number 7, nuclear winter theorist. He was one of the first to research and publicize the potentially catastrophic long-term climate effects of a global nuclear war, a concept known as nuclear winter, which influenced global arms policy. Well, yeah, and I think anything that goes nuclear, it's going to be, nuclear. It's a super duper winter. I think that the way the world is set up, one nuke goes and the whole lot of them goes. I mean, it's a sad state of affairs, obviously. But we'd like to think, here on a godless universe, we'd like to think that science is the only superpower we have. We prove it. Science is capable of destroying worlds. Science is the only medium that, I'm just finishing up a video on cryosleep. And I mean, it really looks like the barriers to cryosleep, there's just no way. There's no way. It looks like biology is not made for cryosleep, given the structure of our bodies, water, the requirement for AI to tend over us, muscle atrophy. If you go to sleep for 5 years, you got no muscles. You're gonna spend 8 weeks just getting out of bed, right? Trying to get those muscles back. Oh, excuse me. That's every time I cough, it hurts with this cold. But the nuclear winter, I think, yeah, Carl Sagan put things in perspective, right? The ascent of man. You're damn right, Silky Den. So, yeah. So we have number 8, Carl Sagan, the first legend spotlight here on Godless Universe. And there could be no better first. Carl Sagan is the GOAT. The Voyager gold record of, right? The Voyager gold record. Hey, give me a prompt there. Carl needs some recognition here. He chaired the committee that created the gold record, a message and time capsule of Earth's sounds, music, and images, carried aboard Voyager 1 and 2 spacecraft into interstellar space. But here's the crazy thing. I mentioned it on yesterday's show. It's not really, it's like 38,000 miles per hour, right? Is it fast? Yeah, that's fast, right? On a relative basis, you do that on Earth. Well, you can't. You'd burn up in a ball of fire. But if we ever get to like 0.1, 10% of the speed of light, we can fly out there, retrieve it pretty fast. Well, I don't know about pretty fast, but relatively a lot faster than it's taken to get out there, and then bring it back if we so chose. It's not like it's getting away from us really quickly, right? Excuse me. 2026 is going to be 1 light year day away. Someday in 2026, 1 light year day away. Which actually makes, I did the math, it works out to about 18,000 years for 1 light year, which based on the speed of Voyager would take, I think, it was about 70,000 years to get to Proxima Centauri, right? Can you imagine 70,000 years? 70,000 years to get to Proxima Centauri. God, you think of these numbers, the universe is too vast. It's like it has been made. Nature has made the universe so that we cannot meet other intelligent life. It feels that way. Number 8, prolific author. He wrote numerous best-selling books, including The Dragons of Eden, which won a Pulitzer Prize. I was going to say Pulitzer Surprise. No. Pulitzer Prize. Contact, the movie was great. Do you guys like the movie? I liked the movie. I thought, what's her name? It was Matthew McConaughey's first movie that was kind of put him kind of there. And was it Helen Hunt, right? I think it was Helen Hunt, right? The way they did it, I think, was masterful. It kept you thinking, kept you wondering, didn't give you answers, but it gave you some conclusions, if that's the right way to put it. And Pale Blue Dot. Of course. Number 9, a poet of the cosmos, Carl Sagan. I still watch old videos of Carl. Soothing, inspirational. Sagan possessed a rare ability to blend rigorous scientific knowledge with poetic philosophical language, making the universe accessible and deeply meaningful to a vast audience. He brought the universe to the vernacular. He brought it to the layperson, to the people sitting in their living rooms, and they decided that learning about the universe 1 night a week was more important than Hawaii. What was the Hawaii 5-0? What was big back then? Hawaii 5-0 and Starsky and Hutch. What else was big back then? I don't remember. That was a long time ago. Don't Stop Believin', Journey, that came out in 79. Don't stop. Yeah, I mean, there's some good, it was a good time. It was a good time. A lot less complicated than today. Am I right? Because today, guys, I like to think that I want to get deeper on some of the things that complicate our lives, because a lot of it is the burgeoning technology that is, we can't keep up with it. The human mind cannot keep up. I would love to have known what Carl Sagan would think of this AI. I think he would have some words of wisdom that would soothe, but would also inspire, intrigue, and maybe set the right bells off, perhaps. But, and then, that was number 10. So yeah, that is Carl Sagan. He is the first Legend Spotlight here on the Godless Universe. I might do one every single day. I might. Oh, excuse me. I'm sure I have a few years worth of high-profile people. I mean, Sir Isaac Newton. Sir Isaac Newton is. That's a whole other story. This is Carl Sagan's day. Right? I mean, if any of you, I don't know if any of you have been so touched. You know, that's the thing about. I don't even know if nerd culture is the right way to put it. Because it almost has, like, I think maybe it now has a positive connotation. At one time it had a negative connotation. Nerd culture, to me, it is a superior way of thinking culture because we drown ourselves. For me, it was Dungeons and Dragons. It was fantasy. It was, sci-fi. It was the stars, the planets, astronomy. And for other people, it's comic books, right? And they're into their Doctor Who. They're into their, the same thing. They overlap into Star Trek. But everyone kind of has their own, that whole, but it's characterized by an understanding that there's important things. There's important things to this world and universe. And you know what it is? It's Carl Sagan's scientific way of thinking. If you apply the scientific way of thinking, you start to bring reason to everything. You eliminate superstition. You eliminate these things out of your life. That becomes science can bring simplicity to almost everything because you're bringing into the balance what's real. Those things that are manifest themselves. And that's actually the whole idea behind, that's why I named the channel Godless Universe. It actually has nothing to do really about God or religion. It has nothing to do with religion. It's about explaining the world with science, with real stuff. Let's not use the supernatural. And even if you are religious, I don't care. Let's explain this stuff without just saying 7 days, on the seventh day he rested and that's it. That's all we need to know. Well, no, we need to go deeper than that. So it's not about, the more we explain our world rationally as a culture, as a race, because we got to come together as a race. That's our biggest problem. We got to come together as a human race. Drop defining people by how, the color of their skin and, prefacing people with this American, that American, white, black, yellow, red, blue. Who freaking cares? Human being. Right? I always say, if everyone in the world took their skin and stripped it off, we took all of our skin off, we would all look the same, right? It would all look the same. And the skin is just an organ, right? It's simplicity, right? It really is simplicity. But anyway, I digress. Let us move on. Oh, my mouse is being so. Aliens, guys, aliens. I know that, oh my God, aliens. Yeah. We're going to have to put those guys on. And, we're going to have to. So aliens, yesterday, it was, so the age of disclosure has sparked a lot of things. I am not someone who believes in aliens. If anyone has watched the show for any amount of time, look, there's no way. I would just, one of the biggest reasons it's if you have these aliens, they fly across the universe. They use warp speed. They use FTL. Are they using wormholes? If they have to use something, not just 80% the speed of light. They're using something that is absolutely monstrous. They are bending space-time. But they hit our atmosphere and they can't freaking fly a saucer. They have more crashes within our atmosphere, but yet they can fly. Oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, you guys have got to, like, they could open up a wormhole. arrive at our planet, but they hit our atmosphere, and they turn into a drunk. Well, I'm not going to give any specifics on driving, but they drive like, but yet they could cross light years, but they can't drive within our atmosphere. And then when their spacecraft crashes, they probably have matter antimatter engines, right? These matter antimatter engines, when they crash into a side of a hill, they don't explode. Like, we don't see this massive fireball of matter antimatter coming together. Nothing. We don't hear. How do you think? I think another alien ship crashed. Excuse me. You can't have one without the other. You can't generate massive amounts of energy. Massive amounts of energy. Bending and warping space, and then just fly into our atmosphere and crash into a mountain and nothing happens. Looks like a weather balloon, sir. That's because it is. Shut up. And the age of discovery, or age of disclosure, I'm sorry. The age of disclosure. Give us no specifics, right? No specifics. It's always one person. There's one guy that went and met the aliens. But he didn't take a selfie? That'd be my first thought. Hey, come on, guys. Like, come on, don't smile. You guys, come on. Forget about it. Forget about it. Okay, let's get into this. Who do you want to do first? Brian Cox or Brian... Oh, that hurt. I look like Tim Waltz? Tim Waltz? The Minnesota governor? Mr. Palad, dude, come on. No. You got to explain that one. I mean, that's... Okay. Yeah, no. I just, some people are just, never mind. Anyway, he's banned. He's gone. Mr. Plaid was banned and their comments were removed. I apologize. That's stupid. No, I don't want to add that to stage. I want to, let's do, okay, so Brian Cox or Brian Greene? I'm going to do Brian Greene first. There's some things that I don't agree, and actually, interestingly, Joe Rogan has some things the same things I disagree with.
The Joe Rogan Experience.
And of course, this video is brought to you courtesy of the Joe Rogan Experience. At the end of this, there will be a link in the description, and let me set this up properly so that we can see everything. Okay, so yeah, this is Brian Greene, and I think it's his. He has some interesting takes. There's some that I don't agree with, but you guys tell me.
When you think of human evolution, do you ever stop to think, what are we going to be like a million years from now if we do survive? Have you ever done this sort of thought experiment where you say, okay, if things keep going the same way,
right,
we used to be very strong and very hairy, and we're getting,
Wait, I'm strong and hairy? just kidding.
Progressively softer as we don't need to use our bodies as much. Our brains are getting larger. Our heads are getting bigger. Do you do that sort of thought experiment to see what we're going to become? And
not in a systematic scientific way, because the process is so fraught with incredible detail that I think it's hard for anybody, even experts in evolutionary biology, to really tell us anything that will hold water, that's really predictive. But on a general level, yeah. I mean, because, people often wonder, why is it that we haven't been visited by aliens, right? This is a thing that comes up whenever you're talking about other life inside the universe.
I'll get to that in a minute with you.
But the answer to that could be quite straightforward. Nobody out there cares about us.
That statement Nobody out there cares about us. I'm quite surprised Brian Greene said that. I mean, that's kind of like, what? And Joe Rogan, I mean, to Joe Rogan's credit, it's why he's a good podcaster. He thinks quick on his feet, and he asks the questions or makes the statements that probably a lot of us are thinking.
Because we're so ill-developed, we're so young on the cosmic scene that there's nothing interesting for them to find here on planet Earth. So to me, there's a natural explanation for why there can be other life out there, and yet they don't hang out around planet Earth, just the way we don't hang around an anthill to try to have a conversation with, what's going on inside that particular structure.
But even from just all the exoplanets that we see, the thousands that we've cataloged, it's like, wait a sec, this friggin' Earth planet's kind of cool. But Joe Rogan takes it.
I buy that argument the least.
You do, really?
Yeah,
okay.
Because we're interested in butterflies. Butterflies are so boring. We're interested in moles. We're interested in squirrels.
We're interested in them for very specific reasons,
sure.
Right? So typically we're interested either because we want to see the evolutionary development that yields this particular life form, or because there's a general curiosity about how this object is put together. If these other beings are so far beyond us that those kinds of taxonomy questions are no longer of any interest, then hanging around here may not hold anything for them to make the journey and stick around long enough for us to notice.
It's kind of like, I love Brian Greene. Like, he's like the multiverse theoretical physicist thinking out there, and I'm kind of surprised that. I mean, if we visited another planet, unless we visited thousands and millions, it's like so many planets, it becomes every day for us. It's like, oh, it's another one of those. They're only on the fossil fuel, early nuclear side, pre-fusion. And you visited 10,000 worlds before this. I just think, I'm surprised.
I don't buy that, again, for two reasons.
Okay.
One, because why would we assume that they're so far beyond us that they wouldn't be interested in these talking monkeys with thermonuclear weapons who dominate an entire planet?
Yeah.
That would be fascinating. If we found some planet somewhere where people are, the politicians all lie to themselves, everyone gets video through the sky, they fly in metal tubes that hurl over the oceans, they pollute the oceans and eat all the fish. Like, these people are fucking crazy.
Yeah.
We've got to go there and check this out.
But imagine that this civilization, the notion of lording over a planet is like us talking about, the ant lording over a grain of sand. So they may be galactic as opposed to planetary in their hegemony. Mm-hmm. And the notion of some little tiny rock orbiting some nondescript star in the suburbs of this completely ordinary galaxy off there on the side may not have the kind of pull that you imagine that it does.
Oh, it's a third time he's thrown down on the same point. I mean, it's kind of Agartha. That's Agartha. Verd. That's the city in the Earth, right? Is that Asian-based lore or something like that? Agartha, something like that. I might be wrong, but I think that is. We can go there. I'm in. I mean, let's book a flight or let's go. But this is surprising to me from Brian. I
disagree. We think it's interesting when we see a chimp use a rock to open up a nut.
Exactly.
We think it's interesting that, there's an amazing photograph of an orangutan that's spearfishing. Have you ever seen it?
Joe Rogan, he really does bring things cleanly, right?
I have seen that, actually.
Really
cool. Right. No, it is.
He learned it from people, apparently, but it's still interesting nonetheless.
Right, but I don't think
awesome.
100 years from now we're going to be as interested in these kind of qualities,
No,
or 1,000 years from now, or 10,000 years from now.
Well, why would we assume that these things that come here from another planet are more than 10,000 years?
Well, that's a very good question, and I think the answer to that is we look at the history of the cosmos until today. And let's just call it our universe to be concrete, 13.8 billion years. And we look at life on planet Earth, and it's, a handful of billions of years old. So in a handful of billions of years, you can go from some complex molecules to human beings.
I like how you say it like it's not that long.
It's not that long because, imagine that life began a few billion years earlier in some other system. Stars and galaxies, they were starting up, a billion years after the Big Bang. So it could be that life in other worlds has a head start on us by a few billion years. And we know what can happen in a few billion years. It can take us from single cell to us.
Sure.
And you can imagine from a few billion years from now into the future, it could be radically different. So to say it's 10,000 years ahead of us, that to me would be the unexplained coincidence. How unlikely that they started and we started within 10,000 years in the span of billions of years. That seems unlikely to me.
But could you guys imagine going to another blue planet like Earth? And imagine an ecosystem as big as Earth's, except all the animals, all the insects, or maybe there's different types of insects. Maybe there's 12-legged creatures, little thingies, something totally different. Could you imagine the wonder? You could stay there your entire life. Obviously, you'd be terrified because you don't know which little bug's going to bite you and kill you or whatever it is. But the magnificence of 10 million species, 16 million, how many species are on the earth? 16 million species. If Noah's Ark, you guys know this? If Noah actually built an ark to fit 2 of every species in the world, I did the math. You would need to have an ark 8 stories high, the size of Manhattan Island. That's how big Noah's Ark would have to be. 8 or 9 stories, depending on how many food stocks you have. But just cleaning out the poop, I actually had to ask AI, just cleaning out the poop of Noah's Ark would have taken around the clock, like 250 people round the clock, just cleaning poop, cleaning number twos. I mean, Noah's like, God, Noah's Ark. Like, I mean, maybe that's a whole show, right? Maybe that's a whole show.
Does it seem unlikely when you're talking about the infinite size of the universe, and there's perhaps an infinite number of Brian Greenes out there talking to an infinite numbers of me?
Good point. So you're absolutely right. We're almost guaranteed, if the spatial expanse of the universe is infinitely large, that there are going to be places where it's within 10,000 years of us. But those are going to be a very small number compared to the places where it's not 10,000 years.
Is that true, or would it be an infinite number of them?
Well, it'd
not
be
a
infinite,
small number at all.
But they're different kinds of infinity.
So you mean in the space of the exact scope of the universe itself, the small number, relatively speaking, to where we are?
Yeah. So I would say it slightly differently. I'd say look at a finite-sized ball in this large spatial expanse. So everything's finite now.
So let's get a 5 billion light year ball.
Right. Okay. And within that ball, the number that are differing from us by 10,000 years will be very, very small compared to the number differing from us by, say, a billion years or a couple of billion years. So then, simply by the law of numbers, if we imagine that they're random processes that are generated. Now, there could be some physical principle that prevents life from emerging before, say, 4 billion years ago. And if that's the case, and we're not aware of that principle, then you'd be absolutely right, that we'd all be roughly at the same starting point, and there's no reason to suspect that they would be so far ahead of us.
There's speculation that if there was intelligent life on Earth 2 billion years ago, how would we ever know, right? The geological forces that would wash that away would have done so, at least 2, 3, 4, 10 million years after that civilization had come and gone. How long, if our civilization collapses, how long would it take the geological forces of Earth to completely wipe out every trace of us? Maybe it's 100 million years. It could be 500 million years. It could be 1 billion years. Doesn't matter. If something existed 2 billion years on this planet, we would have no idea. Now, there's nothing to think that we go extinct, but something emerges 50, 100 million years from now, and they get intelligent 200 million years from now. But everything that was us has been wiped away by geological forces. Maybe they find little bits and pieces, and then the people that find them are like, the people that believe in like aliens built the pyramids, like those kind of guys, right? Anyway, it's an interesting concept.
But I don't know of any such principle.
But yeah, you almost have a reductionist view of this, right? Like so if you had a guess, if you had $100 to bet, has alien life ever observed us? You would say no.
Well, by observed, you mean could they just turn a big telescope in our direction and gather some radio waves?
That's a big question. Right.
But yes, I would take that bet because frankly, we've only been generating radio waves for the last 70 years, so it's only a 70 light year ball around us, and within that small radius, very unlikely that there's been some alien world that's examining us.
So it would have to be something that would be able to recognize our signal and visit us.
Right.
But don't we look at observable planets and solar systems and discover Goldilocks planets?
We do.
And we examine those planets from vast distances away.
Yes.
And wouldn't you assume that a life form that is perhaps thousands of years more advanced than us with the exponential increase in technology, I mean, if they ever got to the point where we are, that they would see these Goldilocks planets as well and recognize that Earth is one of them?
Yes. However, if they are so far away, they're going to be examining Earth as it was hundreds of thousands or millions or billions of years ago.
Right.
So if you truly want them to be examining us in the sense of human presence on planet Earth, then it's a much more difficult proposition to imagine that they've actually been doing that.
Is it possible there's another way to examine things where you're not hampered by the speed of light?
Not that I know of. I mean, any signal in the world that we're aware of is restricted by a special theory by the speed of travel.
I was actually thinking yesterday. I don't know if you guys go into these deep mind, a totally different universe, where the laws of light are instantaneous. Light moves at instantaneous speed. So literally you see the entire universe as it is right now, whether it's 50 billion light years away or 5 light years away. So the ideas of a multiverse where different laws apply, that could happen, right? And Brian Greene is actually an expert in this stuff. But the idea that, because maybe our universe is saddled with this crazy thing that only photons traveling at the speed of light feel instantaneous, because they feel everything instantaneously. They have no time. It's only when you have mass that you have time. Things without mass do not feel time. Only mass feels time, which is really interesting. But maybe there's a universe where everything happens instantaneously and that light travel, I mean, conceptually, it's kind of cool.
Which is now look, there's quantum entanglement, which is a strange property of the quantum world in which distant objects can behave as if they are one, and in some sense respond instantaneously to an influence in one location at a distant location, no matter how far apart they are. But that isn't really observing. That's more realizing correlations between physical properties at widely separated locations, but I'm not aware of a means of leveraging that to actually observe what's happening in some distant location, even if you do have quantum entangled particles.
That is Brian Greene. Brian Greene, I mean, that's, I think the great thing, it's one of the rare times you can see that even Joe Rogan, why is my applause so short? Should be longer than that, huh? They disagreed, right? I mean, I know Joe Rogan is absolutely fascinated with universe and science stuff. So do you know? I wasn't going to mention it again until next year. But I am going, so Joe Rogan, and maybe I shouldn't even do this, but I'm contacting his people. So he's 58 and he's 5'8". I am 58 and I'm about 5'8". I'm a little taller. Call it 5'8". We're both the same height, same age. I was a kickboxer for 8 years. Now he's been MMA for a lot longer, but I thought, you know what? Okay, if I send Joe Rogan, send his people a little message saying, look, it's MMA dude versus a normie, right? I mean, I train it, I get the bag. I'm still kicking and punching. You know, yeah, sure, I'll get my ass kicked. Come on. You know, I would have to have a white towel ready always. And there's no head punches, no body punches. I don't know. I could be something. MMA dude, Joe Rogan versus Mr. Normie. Same age, same height, same everything. Could be interesting. Let's get this show on the road, my friends. I'm probably stupid, right? Get my ass handed to me. That's okay. That's okay. I got beat up in the ring a few times. That's what it's all about. One thing I tell you, I saw a lot of people, they get into the ring. The second someone takes a hit to the head, 80% of the people are gone. They don't come back. It is a different world. And these guys, and I was in, kickboxing back in the 80s. These guys at MMA, I mean, you don't fully appreciate the pounding they take until you feel the pounding they take. I feel it, because you think headgear helps you much? No, it doesn't. A little bit. I mean, if Joe Rogan was going to punch me, I'd probably definitely want that headgear on. But so Brian Cox. Oh, Brian. Where'd it go? There he is. Let me add this.
UFO came now.
Okay. Oh, is this the one? Wait a second. Brian Cox. Oh, I don't think this was the one I wanted to play. Hold on a sec. Video file. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, right. Okay. So, yeah, there's two of them. One of them I'm going to save till next week.
Do you think that it's...
This one is actually from, I think, 4 or 5 years ago. But it's all relevant, right? So it's all evergreen information. I would say if I had a favorite dude, it's got to be Brian Cox. I just like the way he talks. I like the simplicity. He gives a very, way of saying things that is diplomatic yet resonates with the surety, but yet it's, in a way it's diplomatic kind of way. But he is, so a little bit different take on aliens than Brian Greene.
Possible? Do you ever entertain the idea that it's possible that we are the only intelligent life in the known universe?
I tend to restrict myself to the galaxy. Right. So I do think it's possible that at the moment there's one civilization in the Milky Way.
Wow.
And that's us. And I think that's important, actually. And it goes back to what I was saying at the start about the astronomy and cosmology being part of the framework within which you have to think. If you're looking for meaning, or you're looking for how we should behave even politically, that has a bearing to me. I mean, imagine that we're the only place where there is intelligence in this galaxy. And how should we behave?
Right.
Should we actually, notwithstanding the fact that we're tiny and fragile things and insignificant physically, should we consider ourselves extremely valuable in that respect?
And that is so important. And there's so many people that could not see, and I'm not gonna, I don't want to call out religion, but I'm going to call out religion, that put self-importance on their own concepts because the blind faith that it requires to accept those concepts have such a low barrier to entry that it becomes counterproductive to the scientific pursuits that have a somewhat higher barrier to entry in the sense of scientific thinking. And I guess my position is not to slag and, kick religion in the schnazzers, but religion needs to, there are some theologians that have a very scientific way of thinking, right? They do. They think with science, they think with astronomy, they try and merge theology with astronomy and the idea of physics and everything. But the idea that we might be the only intelligent life, statistically, if you take how long the Earth has been around, how long we have been around, how many planets there are, suns there are in our galaxy, the idea that we are the only intelligent life right now in the galaxy is not, it's actually quite probable. It's very probable. I think Brian Cox has it on the head. And when people, especially religious people, ask you where you get your morals from, I say, are you kidding me? Life becomes more precious when you realize that maybe there is no heaven. Right? Because if I believe there's a heaven, well, this life don't mean as shit to me. Because I'm going to live in a world without entropy after this one, man. Like, show me the way, baby. If you feel that this might be the time you get, you treasure it, and you'll treasure everyone's time to enjoy their time, right? And Brian Cox gets into it a little bit.
Because there's nowhere else where, I would go as far as to say there would be nowhere else where meaning exists in the Milky Way.
Meaning.
Because meaning is one of those things that scientists don't talk about very much. Although Richard Feynman, one of my great heroes, did talk about it. There's a quote where he says, "What is the meaning of it all?" It's a great essay called The Value of Science. And so what is self-evidently true is that meaning exists here because it means something to us. So that's kind of an obvious statement. Your life means something to you and me, and so meaning exists. But I think it is a local and temporary phenomenon. I think it emerges. Meaning emerges from configurations of atoms, which is what we are. We are simply that. We're nothing more than that. We're very, very rare configurations of atoms, I think. And so that means that we are, if you go all the way down that line of logic, we are the only island of meaning in the galaxy.
Meaning only to ourselves.
Yeah.
We are a complex collection. We are complexity that came together in a universe where entropy rules. Entropy rules this universe. Complexity can gather even within the realm of this idea of entropy, but entropy will always win. You can create complexity, and entropy ensures that immortality by its very nature is impossible. Entropy is increasing. It never decreases. So that we are always faced with, and that is literally why we cannot go back in time. Entropy. Entropy states, no, you cannot do that. No. It is, but complexity can organize itself even in a state of entropy, but that complexity still falls victim to that power of entropy.
It means something to us because we're the only ones who can grasp the concept, and we are finite. We are a finite organism. We have this temporary existence while we're here, and to us, there is meaning.
Yeah. And that's, I don't know any other way to define it.
Right.
So I'll define it like that.
Yes.
I don't think there's global, otherwise you have to believe there's some kind of global meaning and that's a God type thing. And I don't think I think it's more wonderful and more challenging to us because we have to take responsibility for it, to say we should operate such that we are it in this galaxy. There's nothing else. Yeah. I'm sure there are other civilizations out there in the universe because there are 2 trillion galaxies.
Yeah, you can't. I mean, I think Brian Cox goes out of his way to say, like, look, I'm a galaxy guy. There's no point to talk about a galaxy that's 4 billion light years away. We're not getting there anytime soon, unless someone figures out the Stargate technology, which I don't think is going to happen. He said, I saw Brian Cox's interview with Chloe Abram. Chloe Abram is fantastic. Chloe Abram is fantastic. Chloe Abram is another interviewer that has pure charisma and talent in extrapolating the best of someone and their ideas. Great interview, Heidi, absolutely.
I just can't believe this hasn't happened in other places. The question is, how often does it happen and how widely spaced are the civilizations? And I think they're very widely spaced. And I think there may be 1 or 2 per galaxy on the average. But that, as you said, what you said it beautifully. That what else can we think?
Right.
And what else do you want? I mean, I think what it says is you have to take responsibility for all those things, those spiritual things that you think about and the emotional things you think about. You are responsible for that. You are that, right? That whatever that is, it exists in you, and it will only exist for a short amount of time. And so, make the best of it.
Yeah, the thing about Brian Cox, he's got the perma smile on, right? He's always, doesn't matter. It's like Jerry Seinfeld. If you see the episode with Jerry Seinfeld, you can't get angry, Jerry. I can't get angry. It's like, no, you can't. Even like, he cannot get angry. Him and Jerry Seinfeld should hang out. Be like two guys that never get angry. But he's got the perma smile, and maybe that's one of why people like him. He's, because he's very, very, happy.
Would be my view.
It's so unbelievably compelling, though, to consider the idea that somewhere out there, there's another civilization that may be even more advanced than us. And this thought of it is just so attractive. It's incredible.
There should be, if civilizations are common, or even slightly common, then there should be civilizations ahead of us.
Yes.
Because there's been so much time.
But wouldn't you want to see what that's like?
Yeah, I mean, we've been
so
around,
compelling.
You imagine the timescales. We've been around as a civilization. Let's give it, say, 40,000 years. I don't know how long our civilization's been around. Let's say that.
I mean, think about that. We've only been, at best, you go back 40, like you can really only go back 10,000 years to really find any compelling type of civilization, right? I mean, look at ancient Greece. Basically, Western civilization started with Alexander the Great in the Hellenistic period, right? When Alexander did what he did, and then he died, and then his, that all broke into Hellenistic. And then Rome came and basically took Greece, and all of Rome is basically just Italian Greece, right? They took the best that was in Greek culture. What the Greeks couldn't do was unify. The Greeks could never unify. Athens hated Sparta, and all these city-states were always at war with each other. They could never unify until Alexander the Great. And of course, his early death. There's this period between Greece and Rome, which is completely fascinating that no one talks about. And I started a script about 2 or 3 months ago, and I haven't, I mean, it really is quite fascinating. But, yeah, I mean, it's
the galaxy is pretty much as old as the universe. It's 13 billion years worth of time. So
but that's not,
the idea that there are no civilizations arose, 100 million years ago, 200 million years ago, 1 billion years ago. And imagine what they'd be like if they'd survived. I mean, we've been around, we've had science for, let's say, since Newton or Copernicus, 500 years at most. And look what we've done. We've gone beyond the solar system with Voyager. We've walked on the moon. We're about to go to Mars, I would think. So we're about to begin colonizing our own solar system. So we've done that.
I'm going to disagree with his optimism, and here's why. Because we went to the moon in the early 70s, and since then Hollywood has portrayed the progression of human technology and society, like 2001: A Space Odyssey. We're going to Jupiter, and we've developed cryosleep. We've done neither one, not even close. Not even close. Terminator. When was Terminator happening? Does anyone know? Terminator was happening 2040? No. Oh my God, I should know this. I think it already happened, right? Didn't Cybernet already take control of the Earth? You take a look at all these time frames. In 50 years, we haven't even been back to the moon. I mean, there has been no reason for us to go specifically. We don't develop anything in space. We develop everything on Earth and we fly it up. There's nothing that's constructed in space. We send up modules and we just snap them together. And we're going to build a starship up there? Excuse me, bits of my cold left. I don't agree with the human. It's going to take us so much longer than we ever think to develop the technologies. Mars, if Elon thinks we're going to Mars that fast, the first crew will die. They will all die. We don't know what, Mike. 30% gravity on Mars. What does that do to the human body? What happens when the first baby is born on Mars? What happens? Can you even give birth at 30%? It's going to happen. That's what humans do, right? They have sex. This is what we do. I mean, that's until you maybe hit a certain age, that's all you think about. One thing goes wrong on Starship going to Mars, and now you've got a 20-year congressional overview. I don't share his optimism on human progression. It's going to take so much longer.
In 500 years. So imagine a million years in the future.
If we
so
survive.
It's one of the arguments often used to say that there aren't any civilizations out there in the galaxy. It's called the Fermi paradox. Because if you imagine a civilization that's a million years ahead of us, they should have written their presence across the sky by now. You should see them.
Right, we would see, right? A million years ahead of us. Imagine us in a million years, and assuming we don't destroy ourselves. Many people are going to say, well, we have warp technology. We'll figure out wormholes. We'll figure out this. We'll figure out that. We don't see anything. Nothing. Opening up a wormhole would be such a massive energy signature. Creating a warp bubble would be a massive energy signature. You couldn't hide it. We don't see anything. We see nothing. We see a sterile universe so far.
I mean, you'll see us. If we survive a million years into the future, actually even a few thousand years into the future, we will be exploring the galaxy. We will have spacecraft that are going toward the stars. We will be doing it.
We will not. No, I think it takes us 10 years to get to Jupiter. How are we going to?
So our signature will become visible, I'm sure, if we last into the medium term.
Would we choose to not do that? Here's my thought on that: is uncontacted tribes. Like, do you know about the gentleman who was the missionary who visited North Sentinel Island and was killed by the natives? North Sentinel Island, which is a really unusual place because.
Do you guys know about that North Central Island? It has the colony of that tribe that you're not supposed to go visit, and some missionaries tried to go over there and say, "Hey, we've bringing the message of the Lord." Well, they met St. Peter.
They branched off from Africa 60,000 years ago, and they've been living on this one small island the size of Manhattan. And as well as we know, there's only about 39 of them left, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
And we're not supposed to contact them. Like, people are not supposed, we're supposed to leave them alone.
Illegal.
And they're a rare tribe. When they find them in the Amazon, the uncontacted tribes, our initial instinct is back off, leave them alone, leave them alone.
They're all wearing running shoes and stuff now in the Amazon, in the Brazilian Amazon. Like, they all got running shoes and Adidas, you know. Do you guys know what, do you guys know what Adidas stands for? So there's a whole thing when I was young that Adidas was the acronym for. I haven't heard it since I was a kid. It's Adidas, all day I dream about sex. Adidas, all day I dream about sex. Is that still around? I
think that perhaps the universe, if there is a civilization that's a million times more advanced than us and been around here for millions of years of life as opposed to 250,000, why would they let us know? Like, would they look at us dropping bombs on each other and polluting the ocean, sucking all the fish out, and putting clouds into the skies of dirt and particles? And why would they?
I don't think that's anything different than any advanced civilization would do. Like, I think every advanced civilization would probably go through some form of that, lesser, some more, some less. But I would think that is a product of all advanced civilizations. You need to grapple with it, fix it, and solve it. Civilizations that don't perish. Civilizations that do prosper.
Hey, like, look at these crude monkeys. Look at that. They're so far beyond where they need to be before they could join the galactic civilization network or whatever.
It is true. It's an argument that there is an argument as well that
well said.
Technology so advanced would be difficult for us to detect. I mean, we tend to think of, when you say written across the sky, I suppose it's true. I'm thinking of starships and things like Star Wars, right? Big energy things that you can see the signature of. Yeah. But actually, it may be that the civilization just becomes a nano civilization, tiny little nano.
Well, and that's that. Heidi, you said Kardashev scale. Now, the Kardashev scale was Nikolai Kardashev, 1964. It was born in the Soviet Union when bigger was better. Look, I think the Kardashev scale is the biggest parcel of garbage being sold to anybody. Everything goes nano. The Soviets believed everything is bigger, my friend. It goes bigger. We make bigger bomb. We build bigger. We build dome around the sun. Well, you could take every single planet in our solar system, most of which is gaseous planets, right? If you take a look, if you take a look at the size of Earth compared to 1.3 million Earths, there's no one's building a Dyson sphere. Energy is going nano. We're breaking atoms to get at the energy contained at that level. Fusion is one thing. There are energy levels, even if you go like 0 point energy, which fundamentally is against the laws of physics. It cannot be accessed. You like to think that one day we somehow break the laws of physics. I don't think so. But the Kardashev scale on its face is a bunch of BS. All energy goes nano. Everything goes nano. This is why this 3i Atlas and the Avi Loeb thing is a bunch of BS. Aliens are not going to send a 20-mile mothership. They'll send 10,000 little 1 centimeter, 1 inch long nanobots with little horns that have, video some sort of minute little video cameras, and they can send these things at 1%, a 1%, a 1%, a 1%, a 1% of the energy it takes to send a 20-mile mothership. Like Avi has got to take a couple of science courses or something. It's so disappointing that someone at Harvard can be as, but I know he's going for attention and he's going for sensationalism. But why do apes, monkeys just have basic tool making, but we humans have to carry everything? I don't know if we carry everything. We have more sophistication in our tools. Do I have a degree in physics? No, I have English. English, my friend Rick. I have been, since a very young kid, I have been a home astrophysicist, if you want to say it, or something like that. But I learned from people around me. From perhaps such as people yourself or Brian Cox. I am a sponge. I like to learn from people. And nor do I ever think I know everything, because I don't. I certainly don't. Brian Cox might. I don't.
That's more efficient. It's a better way to do things. So it's possible, I suppose, that there are space probes all over the place that are so small and are so efficient and use so little energy that we just don't see them. I suppose that is possible.
Damn, there we go. That is, sometimes, I get so excited. And I get so into this. I said that, why did I only do an 8-minute clip? Why didn't I do like a 15-minute clip and kind of get into it deeper? But I'm gonna do more. People love this kind of stuff. And I think oftentimes it's the conversation around what these guys say. I might not agree with everything. I'm not an astrophysicist, but I am someone who is certainly learned in science. But even if you take a look at philosophers or people that dream about ideas, we all need to take information from people that are smarter than us, right? That is the key thing. Understand that most people are smarter than us. Everybody is smarter than us in at least one subject. Everybody is. Everybody. We have to learn from everybody. We can learn from everybody. If anyone ever thinks that now there's sometimes, as a matter of fact, you might have a belief in something and understand that, and it's premised on, 1 + 1 = 2. I had someone once, like a year ago, argue with me that in a different universe, 1 + 1 might not equal 2. Well, that has nothing to do with anything. 1 + 1 = 2 is our representation of math. Well, I don't even think you can apply that to a different. They just, and that's fine, right? It's kind of like arguing religion. Don't. There's no reason to. You can't argue blind faith, and allow people to have that. Look, keep your religion. Let's talk science. Put your religion in your bag and let's just talk science. Let's talk. And if the superstition or the idea of, the supernatural usurps the scientific method, then there's no conversation. Don't even argue. You're wasting your time. Just My dad used to always say, don't worry about giving the enemy the victory when the defeat doesn't hurt you. Put your arm around them and say, look, my friend, that's okay. Let's just have a beer. We'll talk about NFL football, and just don't go there. Everyone will be happier for it, I think. There is a anger. If you look at our life, I think this is really important, guys, especially as the world becomes more complicated. And I always go back to my father, some of the things that he told me. Anger can breed nothing but negative effects from its causes. When you get angry, it brings out the worst in you. It brings out tribal instincts that are capable of destruction and hurting others. It is the one thing that we need to try. If you can try and sort of approach that anxiety that creates anger, and if you turn it into a smile and just say, look, I'm backing off. You could have your cake and eat it too. I'm backing off. Your day will be so much better. It's hard. And I have always tried, even like I was a kickboxer for 8 years. I loved getting in the ring. I love, getting, but you have to understand that, even in a physical confrontation, there's only negative stuff that happens over and over and over, right? Between countries, between people, between everything. And I think this is what science gives us. Science gives us the application of clear thought. If we could apply that everywhere, the application of clear thought, stressful times, we are then are able to take stressful times. Maybe Christmas is not going to be a good Christmas. Don't worry about it. Don't buy presents for everybody. Don't. Christmas is about just being together. It is. I don't even have family here. I was born in Brno. I came here when I was 9 months old, refugees, and I was a refugee in Vancouver. Parents had nothing but the clothes in their back. Parents couldn't speak English. Dad had a mechanical engineering degree. He was a janitor for 9 years. They were happy. I was happy. So I think those are just things, I don't know, those are things that I've learned. Anger will always give you bad stuff. Always, 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 always. And I think when you take a look at, you look at the face of Brian Cox, perma smile as he talks about these amazing things about the universe. We're going to do a lot more. Next week, there's some other things, like another Brian Cox video. And actually, it's
over Westminster. There's a spaceship hovering. I wouldn't be in the least bit surprised.
Yeah, I got that one set up for next week, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But guys, this is a godless universe. Is there any comments? I don't think I got any. Do you degree in physics? Why does apes monkey gut that Kardashev scale? I don't know. Yeah, so I don't know if that's my opinion on the Kardashev scale. I think that Nikolai Kardashev was a Soviet Union guy from 1964. Look, the Kardashev scale is, it is Soviet level thinking, right? The bigger, the better. The idea, Freeman Dyson himself, he hated the idea of a sphere. He goes, well, I hated it, but look, I'm stuck with it. There's nothing I can do. Because his idea was that there would be like little satellites, like hundreds, thousands of satellites that would be shot out, and then that would create something around the sun that would send back energy. Not building this structure that would take, 1 million Earths to build. But that's the Soviet Union. Kardashev was a 1964 Soviet Union guy, right? Where everything was bigger and better. The Tsar bomb. Remember the Tsar bomb? Biggest nuclear bomb in the world? That's all the Soviets knew. This was not a smart. My family came from what was Czechoslovakia, the Czech Republic. I was born in Brno. Like I say, came to Vancouver when I was 9 months old. And spent 20 years in Los Angeles. Half my adulthood in America, half my adulthood in Canada. And what you learn is, and certainly the Soviet Union, they had no, when it came to some of the things they did were pretty cool. But I tell you, the Kardashev scale is the biggest bunch of baloney bullcrap. Even if there is any type, what is the galaxy one? Is that type 2? The one that does the galaxy? Any civilization that can harness the power of its galaxy, well, we would have seen it. Obviously, that doesn't exist. It's so simplistic. It's so basic. It's so rudimentary. It's so dumb. It sounds good from a science fiction perspective. It sounds good from a storytelling perspective because it makes things very clear, basic, and easy. But what we find, right, there is, a matter of fact, I was just watching a video today, which I'm trying to develop something on for next week, that quantum computing actually taps some of the elements associated with a black hole. Now, the way that they're sort of putting it together, I don't want to say anything until hopefully next week when I release it. But the idea is everything is going nano. If we can break apart atoms, the energy in atom, yes, there's fusion, right? There's the idea of taking 2 hydrogen atoms, combining them into helium, and the release is what we see in our sun. But then there's the energy contained within an atom, which is monstrous in one single atom. Only a tiny fraction of the energy in fusion is ever released. And in fission, even a smaller fraction is released in fission, which is the nuclear reactors, right? So there's a lot of ways. It's not Kardashev. It's not bigger. It is smaller. And I am shocked that a guy like Avi Loeb, who was the head of whatever at Harvard, cannot even have the gumption to figure out that maybe that as civilizations become bigger, better, smarter, and better at using energy, they might not have huge amounts of energy, but they're better at using it. They build little tiny nanobots. I mean, that's like the gray goo. I did a video on gray goo. You know, the gray goo thing, right? Which is basically millions, billion, trillions of nanobots that replicate themselves, and it becomes an apocalyptic thing where now humans are literally taken apart atom by atom. It's kind of disgusting. It's kind of icky, horrible way to die. But if these civilizations are going to send, they're not. Why would you disguise yourself as a freaking comet? Send a 20-mile mothership that would cost 1/3 of the total output of the energy of probably your own star to do a flyby of a blue planet. At least you're gonna land. You know, you got some alien colonizers. It's like, hey, nanu, ack, 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 ack. I mean, that's Avi. Avi's just, you know, he never got attention. Then he throws Brian Cox under the bus, and he throws Neil deGrasse Tyson under the bus because he never got any attention. Oh, now he's getting attention. Now there's something with Jupiter. Next week, I'm doing a 3i Atlas Avi Loeb update, so I'm going to do that. But that is the Kardashev scale. So try all you want. You can't hack the universe. Dude, yeah. Top civilizations realize connected to God is most important. Well, I mean, I disagree with that. But I will agree with the idea you cannot hack the universe, that there's laws of physics. There are laws of physics. They're laws of physics, right? They don't get broken. Water doesn't fall up. Gravity will not work in reverse. We don't see it anywhere in the universe. There's no top. And then High Chief, when you say top civilizations realize connected to God is most important, I mean, I think I don't think that's even relevant in the science perspective. It might, on a personal side, it could be relevant, and again, I would never take that away from somebody. Science is the superpower, not a belief. Beliefs don't manufacture this. A belief doesn't manufacture the road. I can't lift it up. The road or the camera that I'm pointing at with this. Beliefs don't manufacture the lights that are pointing at me. And I got a lot of lights pointing at me, man. Beliefs don't manufacture cars, automobiles, satellites. Beliefs, science does that. 1 + 1 = 2. People that were so good at physics, science, and science is the only superpower. Only superpower. But, High Chief, your belief in a deity or a god, I will never take that away from you. That is yours. Science does not believe in a god. If you take science away from society, what do you got? Scrolls and caves. That's all you got, right? God is science. Isn't science God? I would say science is God. I mean, we agree, we just got to turn the words around, right? I totally get, High Chief, I totally understand. Excuse me. All is applicable under God. I don't know what that means. All is applicable under God. I mean, what? I don't. When you say under God, there's massive assumptions. Like, what does that even mean? An astrophysicist can do the math of a black hole based on its, the size of it and how much, yada yada. There's no math. There's no science. There's nothing that's built. There's no math. There's no logic. There's no science. The only thing I always say, the only thing that religion can give us, the only thing that is more scrolls from more caves written by people from 2,000 years ago. That's all that religion can give us. That's it. So, yeah, okay. I mean, that's okay if you believe that. Every element of existence leads to God. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, how do you start to prove that? But how do you start to prove that? You just can't say it. I mean, it's just saying something doesn't make it real. And if you believe everything that is just said to you, I mean, if you want me to believe what you're saying just from us, you have to believe everything that I'm saying then. You have to use the same level of evidence. I said it because therefore you must believe it. Well, okay, well, I said it, therefore you must believe it. I mean, at what point in time does that just stop and say, okay, let's do the math. What's the real nitty gritty under this? Because I'm not saying it's real. You don't have to believe. Okay, you're not saying it's real. You don't have to believe. I use the expression or the idea that 3 pink elephants flying around the corner. I can prove that. I can prove elephants exist. I can paint them pink. I'm 2 out of 3. And I call David Copperfield and I say, buddy, help me make these 3 pink elephants fly. We'll make little angel wings on them and boom, we got our flying elephants. Science doesn't care about, but you believe, and it's almost like the statements that you're saying, you're asking others to believe, or no, I believe you can prove an instance. I believe you can prove an instance. If you can prove God unequivocally, everyone would believe in God. There would be no argument. But if you could believe God, everyone would believe in it, right? It's like belief in the cell phone. Everyone believes in it because you can buy one. Science is the only unequivocal belief that you can have because it's premised on hard facts and scientific method. Science says nothing, it can't be real until we prove it through the scientific method. I think it's possible to unequivocally believe in God. And that's fine. If you believe that, I'm not going to take that away from you, right? But science can't work that way. So even if you're going to come into the realm of science, you need to kind of, put your belief, because there's theologians, a very small percentage, that do. It's like Neil deGrasse Tyson. Did you see that? He was on stage. I mean, on the side, High Chief. This was actually kind of funny. And I do respect what you're saying, High Chief. Neil deGrasse Tyson was on stage. He goes, the percentage of scientists that believe in God, he has a marker. He goes, it's 96%. And there's like the crowd goes like this. And he goes, but that's not the confusing thing, or that's not the thing that, what is confusing or what is surprising is the 4%. Yeah, have you seen that video? That was so good. What is surprising is 4% do. Like, what the? I mean, that was one of Neil deGrasse Tyson's best moments. It was good. So, no, that's cool. Hi, Chief. That's cool. Like I say, I have no beliefs except those that are premised in hard fact. You think I don't want to believe in heaven? Who doesn't want to believe in heaven? You pass away and you go to forever land where entropy is at bay, and I live forever with, evangelicals? They must have separate areas, right? I could go to my own separate place or something. I don't have to hang out with the evangelicals, do I? Look, I would love to believe in heaven. I would. It's just it's a belief premised on blind faith. And that's fine. Nah, bleak heaven. I'm just being. Well, no, I don't agree with you, High Chief. That there is no God is irrational. The idea of an infinite universe that has been around forever. The second you add a God, something had to have made the God. If you insist on creation, that something is created, everything has to then have a creator or a create. Like you can't have something just existing forever. And because something had to create the creator. Now, I've done some videos. Hi, Chief. I've done some videos on ideas of a creator. If you look at if you read some of Spinoza, there's a philosopher whose name is Spinoza. He talks about a God. He was one of the first ones that came out. I mean, the Inquisition was still underway, I think, and he talked about infinite universe. Don't let your opinions about the operation of our reality determine your beliefs. I don't. My beliefs have a reason for being. I just can't believe in a God without a basis of fact, right? But you're. I mean, this is a realm. The game mechanics of our realm are meaningless. You're talking nebulous kind of stuff, right? I'm not my belief system is predicated on having facts. I need facts by which, if there's no facts for a belief, I'm not going to believe in it. I don't believe in ghosts. I don't believe in aliens visiting us. I don't believe in a God that's concerned with whether I turn left or right. I don't believe in a. How is something a fact? Because you prove it through scientific method. Science is the only thing that develops facts. Science develops facts because it goes through rigorous study, rigorous scientific method, and then there are only proof of instances. Well, you're talking philosophy. Philosophy doesn't prove anything. Math proves stuff. So words. I was an English major, and philosophy was like my minor. Philosophy will not allow you to prove anything. There are facts. 1 + 1 = 2 is a fact. It's a fact. I mean, that's a fact, High Chief. There has to be facts. Otherwise, the 9.8 meter gravity on our Earth accelerates 9.8 meters per second squared. That is a fact. It will always be unless the Earth loses mass or gains mass. That is a fact, though. It's not going to change. It's a law. Facts are fact. There are facts. It's not, but it's not a human concept. I mean, it is. Okay, well, I'm a human. Conceptually, if science If science was going to use nebulous ideas like the ones you're putting out there, we wouldn't have this, right? We wouldn't have the cell phone. Everything we have is because of science and science thinking. If you go and you go to Carl Sagan's scientific thinking, that's the way scientists think. This is the way, when you start talking about a piece of wire that is 1 atom thick, right? You're talking about in chips that are 1 atom thick, 1 atom, and information is being processed. No, I got you, High Chief. I got you. No, I think you're trying to put across your belief, your philosophical belief, and I get it, right? It's almost like I don't want to say it's Buddhism, or it's kind of like ish. It's an idea that is a concept of spiritualism. Is that the right word to put it? And I get it. I'm not spiritual. I don't think we have a spirit. I don't think that's something we can argue, right? Either you believe we have a spirit or we don't have a spirit. I think people that are religious unequivocally think we have a spirit. I don't think a spirit exists. I think we are sacks of flesh and blood. We're sacks of mostly sacks of H2O, right? Sacks of water. I'm doing a video on cryosleep. You start to realize how beneficial water is to us. But when it comes to cryosleep, water is basically, H2O is the thing that... Now, they can actually put in cryosleep fetus cells. Fetus cells, they can actually cryosleep. Did you know that? But when the cells reach a certain point of maturity, they cannot cryosleep. God equals conscious, active entity like yourself. That has higher domain and will compare to all other entities in existence. You don't think we can have a spirit? I think we're sacks of meat. There's no spirit. There's nothing. No. And that's okay if you believe in a spirit. I mean, I have spirit in the... Well, not in the literal sense, but I have a spirit based on my personality and based on who I am. I don't believe that, no, life doesn't go on. You better appreciate this life. I'm an agnostic. Hi, Chief. I'm agnostic. I don't believe in... Look, every concept you're talking about is a personal belief, not a belief that can be in any way construed in a scientific way. You can't prove it. You can't put it through a scientific method. You don't think we can have a spirit? Oh, no, sorry, that's the same one. But I get it. I get it. You know, you're kind of into that existential. I've had a lot of mostly girlfriends that are more into that sort of existential kind of spirit stuff. I usually don't talk religion or this stuff with friends. I normally don't. It never comes up. No reason to. But I usually find I am vehement in my understanding and beliefs because science has taught me that if you allow yourself to be malleable under the idea that the belief of a concept requires less and less and less scientific evidence, then your ability to be swayed with more simple concepts becomes magnified. But if your level of proof is the scientific method by which I will not believe, the example that I make is I had this one girlfriend, she wouldn't go downstairs into the basement because the meat freezer was down and then into the far corner of the basement. So she wouldn't go down there and get it because she was scared of ghosts. And I told her one day, it's like, why are you not scared that the ghost is going to attack me? If there's a ghost down there, like I'm there, oh no, it's not going to attack you because you don't believe. I say, what? Now ghosts have schools? How do you know that ghosts have schools? You die and then you go to ghost school. It's like you will not attack anyone who does not believe in you. You got that? You got that? You got that? All of you, all you ghosts. The other thing is, and I think any like fighter MMA guy, I was a kickboxer. First thing I'd say is like, all right, ghost, you want to come kill me? Because when I turn spirit, I will come and kick your freaking ass. I will come and find your ass and I will spirit slap you. That's what I'll do, mother. I almost said it. I almost said the F-bomb. I will find your spirit butt and I will twist it sideways. One of those, baby. Come and kill me. That's what I say. Oh, you don't think we have it's good luck. There are absolutely not proofs. Everything is theory. Well, I mean, it's not everything is theory. And that's okay if you believe that. If that's nothing I say is going to change your ideology, and that's fine if you believe that. You need infinite instances for absolute proof. Now you have an interesting way of sort of putting the universe together. The biggest thing when we talk about these things is I see I feel that you're trying to convince me of something, and I get what you're saying, and I accept what your philosophy, the way you partition things in the universe is. I don't agree with it because my level is just pure. It's pure black and white. 1 + 1 = 2. People that are much smarter than me do science and they figure stuff out. Like the two guys on the screen, I guess on the mobile side, you guys can't see it because I didn't get it finished. Brian Greene and Brian Cox, and of course, guys, Carl Sagan. So today I did Carl Sagan. He was the where's Carl? I'm gonna put Carl. I started a new segment on Godless Universe, Legend Spotlight. So Carl Sagan was the first Legend Spotlight. So if you want to go and watch the rerun of the show, there's the 10 great things that Carl Sagan gave to us. He's the GOAT. I think he is the GOAT. He is. Would I think he's up there with Einstein and Newton? In a way, he is. As a communicator, would Newton and Einstein didn't have the communication power that Carl Sagan had. Carl Sagan opened up worlds for people. He was the right person at the right time. Newton was the right person at the right time. Galileo was the right person at the right time. Fibonacci was the right person at the right time. Plato was the right person. Diogenes, all these people, Descartes, Einstein, Oppenheimer, Hubble, all these guys. And I'm sure there's a few girls thrown in there. I just can't remember them right now. But whatever your belief is, if Einstein had room for the possibility, big God, well, Einstein's idea was not a personal God, right? His idea was that, people's idea or definition of a God is usually something of a bearded guy in the clouds granting wishes. And I know that's not yours. Hi, Chief. I know that's not what you're saying. I'm not saying that. That is most people's definition. A bearded guy in the clouds granting wishes. There's no difference between a prayer and a wish. There's no difference. Best wishes, I send my prayers. They're both interchangeable. Spinoza, if you guys want to like an interesting, put it in a way, and I tell you, the Inquisition was still underway, I think, when he came out, or it was just ending. The Inquisition lasted almost 1,000 years, right? 800 years? Long time. It lasted in Spain a long time. So if you want to, that idea of a non-personal God, that's what Einstein believed. If we are a simulation, then there's a God, and that God is a coder. Not in the way that we would think of a coder, but because the way the universe works with error correcting codes compared to how video games work, double slit experiment, quantum physics, there are similarities between simulation and reality. It's crazy. If there's a 0.0000001% chance of a simulation, you have to be agnostic. You have to be. That denotes a creator. I've done videos on 10 dimensions that God would be a 10th dimensional being who would look at us, ants to a shoe, the ants would be super advanced. We would be nothing to this 10th dimensional being. I've even done videos on 5 arguments for God, 5 arguments against God. I've done the God helmet, why people see, certain ways that you can see God or why people see God scientifically. I've done a lot. I'm not opposed. I like the other side of every argument, right? So the idea of a God, I don't buy into religion. And there's 2 trillion galaxies. Why would God make this little marble in this unremarkable part of a galaxy, or in an unremarkable solar system, in an unremarkable galaxy, in an unremarkable galaxy cluster, which this galaxy cluster, we might be in a black void. You guys know that, right? We might now be in a cosmic black void. I did a video, Google never, or YouTube never give me any credit for it, but more information came out again that we might be in a 1 billion light year cosmic black void, which is why the universe looks like it's expanding the way it is. You know what? I'm going to do that next week. I'm going to bring up my video that I did. I'm going to bring up any extra information, but we may be living. I know, geez. Oh, time. I'm just going to delete that, but I'm not going to ban you. Ban you. Come on. A little decorum. Don't be a child. So I bring that up next week. I will bring it up next week. Yeah. So anyway, if God is so concerned about this one little planet, why did he create, and is it a he? It wouldn't have sexual parts, right? It wouldn't have a penis or a vagina. God doesn't procreate. Why would it create 2 trillion galaxies on top of everything else? Philosophically, the argument would make no sense whatsoever. You cannot bring such significance to absolute insignificance, and you're bringing absolute significance to it. I did a paper in university called the idea of insignificance, and not the first one. But my understanding is that we are an absolute insignificant. If the Earth and our entire solar system was wiped out tomorrow, nothing would change in the universe. Nothing. But we'd like to paint ourselves, especially through religious doctrine, that we are infinitely significant, when our entire eradication would be insignificant to the universe. It's a hard thing to rationalize and to make sense of, because it doesn't make sense. I mean, I don't know what everyone else's beliefs are. I'm a science guy, right? I mean, so if you're a science person, you're gonna if you believe in science, this is the place for you. It's all about not having supernatural. That's why it's a godless universe. No, I'm agnostic. I hold out the opportunity that God might exist in some weird incantation, not the one that someone 2,000 years ago brought up based on 14 other messiahs before him that all had the same traits, right? All messiahs going back 6,000 years all had the same traits, right? Virgin mother, yada, yada, yada. They all had the same traits. Insignificant is an opinion. Well, I guess, sure. I have to have an opinion. I mean, I'm a human being. I mean, otherwise, no one says anything, right? But there are things that are said that are matter of fact, But yeah, that was a philosophical class. Philosophy is math with words. In my years that I took in philosophy and English, I'm a screenwriter too. So I won many awards in screenwriting, and the creative writing aspect and the idea of philosophy is freaking awesome, and which is basically what we're engaging in, High Chief, right? The philosophical ideas that you have are not aligned with mine, which is fine. We can still be best friends, buy a beer and have chicken wings together, and laugh and smile at the fact that we disagree. It's that simple. I still wish the best for you, and you probably still wish the best for me. The fact that we disagree on one or two things. I mean, there's people that disagree with me on which NFL team should win. Kind of going for the Steelers because I would love I would love Aaron Rodgers to win a Super Bowl. I really would. I mean, I've never been a Steelers fan, but damn, that'd be kind of good, right? And there's a lot of people that disagree. I just feel like painting God at unscientific is solo, and no, it's not. I mean, God isn't God. I mean, God is probably one of the most unscientific things, isn't it? I'm not sure you can even argue that. It is literally something that is made up out of nothing. Hope. That, to me, God is made out of hope. You know, the fear of there's nothing when I pass, there's nothing afterwards. I mean, I didn't know, someone asked me, well, what's death like? Well, everything before 1967, the 13.8 billion years before, how did that feel? I don't remember. Like, I don't know. Well, think of the next 100 billion years as the same. Oh, well, that wasn't too bad. No. Now, if there's a heaven, dude, you don't think I want there to be a heaven? You don't think I want there to be a heaven? You don't need to try and convince you. Well, no one wants there to be a heaven more than me. I just won't hang out with some of those crazy evangelicals. Not my kind of peeps. Like, we don't like, holy jeez, you guys are different. I'll invite them to a barbecue in heaven. But I'm like, you think I don't want to believe in a spirit world without entropy? Without entropy? The very fact that there is a plane of existence without entropy? It's like, does not compute. Which robot was that? No, does not. Was that Star Trek? I think it does Star Trek, right? Does not compute. Exploring the possibility of a God isn't scientifically unsound. No, I agree with you. No, High Chief. Well said. Exploring the possibility of a God is not scientifically unsound. I would agree with you on that. 100%. As a matter of fact, I think that is a fascinating line of philosophers have tried that for centuries. But philosophy is not science. Philosophy is a way of trying to explain the universe in a creative, profound, sound kind of way, but it can never achieve the results of math. I just want to convince you looking for God is scientific. You're weighed down by the mechanics of our reality. Well, I am, because let me put it to you this way. If there's ever one day in your life you wake up and you put your feet down on the floor and that floor does not exist, it's not there, it's just a bottomless pit. If it only happened once in your life, every single day that you would wake up from there on in, you would question the validity of the ground that you walk on. It only has to happen once. So therefore, reality is something that we take for granted that happens with regularity. Every time we wake up in the morning, we put our feet down on the floor, we never question it. Because reality tells us there are certain things that we can depend on 100% of the time. If we go 100 miles per hour and we hit a brick wall, why does no one do it except those that want to end their life? Because they know it only has one ending. Bad. Reality is people know how they can, right? Reality. I just want to convince you, you're looking for God is scientific. Your way. I think I read that, right? Yeah. Let's find the math that leads to God. Well, there is no math that leads to. Oh, I'm blurry. There's no math that leads to God. Otherwise, God would have been proved a long time ago. There's mathematicians. I mean, I have one friend who did pure math. He had a PhD in pure math. I was like, dude, are you crazy? He went back and he took something else, computer science, I think, because he didn't want to do pure math after 8 years of university. Like, what the dude? Smart guy, smarter than I am. The way you become really smart is you associate, you hang around people that are smarter than you. You will not become smarter by hanging out, by being the smartest guy in the group. You want to hang out with smart people, because if you hang out with smart people, you will be, you become smarter. And that's, I think, but again, we have stuff to learn from everybody. Everyone is an expert in something, right? God, High Chief. God called you God. Hey, God, are you God? You're gonna look. If there's I just don't want to hang out with St. Peter for too long. I just want out of purgatory. Get me to the pearly gates fast, because I just want to get me some barbecue. Get me some barbecue. But I don't think if there's an afterlife, I will. And I always say, you know what? If an all benevolent God wants to send me to hell because I didn't believe in him, then probably that place is for me. Probably. All benevolent? Couldn't be, right? The definitions that are, and I don't want to get into that part. Like I never, that's like, those are different channels. We're science. Like we're Brian Cox, Carl Sagan, the legend spotlight today. Carl Sagan. If you guys want to go watch back, so again, every week I'm going to try and do one every day. So did we resolve that, High Chief? Are we good? At least maybe till next week? You're welcome back anytime, You're all welcome back anytime. Next week, I also want to do because I'm a screenwriter, I do movie reviews. Troll 2 is out. We good. All right, my friend. Love you. And all the best on this Christmas. Please stop by next week and we can maybe have more. Troll 2 is out. Have you seen Troll 2 on Netflix? I put it on falling asleep, but I keep falling asleep. But the first one was fantastic. So I thought, I like doing movies it's kind of in that fantasy, sci-fi kind of a way. And it's a Nordic production company. They do a fantastic job. Troll 2. So I want to do it next week. I want to do a review of Troll 2 next week. Yeah, it's good. It's good. And I'm going to have some more Brian Cox next week. I did a little preview of the video. Next week, I think I'm going to do Einstein Legend Spotlight on top of 3i Atlas, Avi Loeb update. Oh, I got so much shit coming next week, my friends. I am glad that you spent some time with me on A Godless Universe, because it's, look, if we're not having fun trying to calm down the nerves in a world that is messed up, screwed up, I don't know what we're doing then. But I do thank you for your company. It's much appreciated. Like and subscribe. My name is Danny Alex, and I will see you next week. Cheers, my friends. Thank you.
Let's take our seats. Yeah, baby. Do it